This is the Kindy Rockstars Podcast, Season 5. Bringing you incredibly talented singers, artists, creators, and producers in the genre of children's music. I'm your host, Patrick Adams. Each episode will feature songs, albums, videos, or live performances, along with great stories from the artists themselves. Kindy Rockstars Season 5 is proud to be supported and sponsored by Waltmania Public Relations, serving the family entertainment community for more than 20 years. And now, on with the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Kindy Rockstars, and I am super excited to have back on the show my good friends Wendy and DB. Welcome back.
Woo! We're here.
Yeah. Good to be back.
Yeah, it is.
And for everybody, please go check out Season 3, Episode 12 to hear more of Wendy and DB's story. And we feature their album, Into the Little Blue House. But we are here today to talk about your new album called Back Home. But before we get into that, what have you been up to since the last time we talked?
Well,
Yeah. How do you take on from that?
Well, I'll start. We've been pretty busy because we have two albums. We have one coming out in 24 and we have another one coming out in 25. And Back Home is the one coming out first. We have been busy with concerts and life. You know what else? Let's see. DB's been taking dance lessons and trying to learn how to play the fiddle. That's not true.
Which part wasn't true? The dancing or the fiddle?
Neither of them.
Both.
Anyway, we've been keeping our creative juices flowing. Yeah, with a lot of writing. It's been great. Right, DB? What else? What were you going to add to that?
Well, just writing a lot of different things, especially, with this album, with the Back Home album, and then, of course, the other one that we've got locked in for 2025. That one's going to be a real gem. That's got some things on there, man. That's really going to be very interesting for a lot of people to hear. So we've been really busy, just sewing, doing the musical thing.
We don't have to give away the farm, but are you moving like stylistically to something different for that new one, or like away from the blues?
No, actually, we're kind of going backwards.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's with Dean Jones, who is an amazing producer, and it's kind of like a 4-year project, which is really funny. We've never spent so much time on an album, but Dean has been such a delight to work with. Back Home, we had such a wonderful time working with the various artists.
Yes.
We got to travel to Memphis. So we've been doing a bit of traveling, not just touring, but also traveling to Memphis and Austin to record, some of the amazing musicians, Ruthie Foster and Doug McLeod and Libby Ray Watson, and then we stayed here in Chicago too and worked with some of the same people, but some new people here as well.
Well, so we're kind of talking about the album already, so let's dig in a little more.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about the making of this. How the songs came together, how you reached out and worked with the people that you did on it.
It was pretty absorbing, I will say. My girlfriend called me one day and she's like, "Are you still writing? Are you, because every time she'd call to talk to me, I'd be like, I can't talk to you right now. I'm writing, So it was really intense writing. I was put with several different people, Doug McLeod and Libby Ray. I wrote with Libby Ray Watson and Doug McLeod a couple of songs. We wrote a song with Sade of Raising Up Fife and Drum. She's well known for her grandfather is famous as a blues fife player. And, this is a little more traditional blues. So we're going back. Like I said, we're kind of going backwards. We're going back, which is kind of cool. Back to the roots, which is why Back Home was the appropriate title for it. DB and I sat down and wrote the rest of the songs just, together, came together really nicely. Just busy recording, which really, it kept us busy because we did fly to different locations. A lot of fun. And now we're taking them out. We're hitting the road.
DB, anything to add to the overall experience?
Well, I think for me, it's just, I think the nature of some of the songs for me really do it. I really, really enjoyed working with Doug McLeod doing Come to Your Senses. He's an extremely well-known acoustic blues artist. And it was great to sit next to him in the studio and say, wow, I get to play with Doug. We're both playing guitar and singing these songs together. It's really, really great. Plus, he has an amazing sense of humor. His sense of humor is really off the charts. He's a really fun person to record around. And like she was saying before, the rising stars of fife and drum,
Wow.
because Sade Thomas is the granddaughter of the legendary Otha Turner, who led the Mississippi drum, fife and drum for many, many years. He's recorded many, many albums of that. And it was just fun having them in the studio. They're really intense. And so, when you hear that, when you hear the music on there, you're like, oh man, this really grooves really nice. But they're really intense people, but they're also a lot of fun too. And it really shines through on that particular track. That's the Walk to Your Own BU, Walk to Your Own beat. It really shines through.
And Put Down the Phone, actually. Put Down the Phone was also with them.
Yes.
We wrote the BU, Walk to Your Own Beat, with them. They, typically it's fife and drum. So we added some vocals on there, which was really fun. And DB and I wrote Put Down the Phone with picking guitar. It's just like, it needs to be said. Some of the things need to be said, and when I was writing the lyrics, it was like, oh, Peace in the Valley, there's a lot of stuff that's very subtle, but not so subtle on this album. I'm pretty direct when it comes to my messages. I can't help myself. So that it was a joy. And Doug wrote on Friends also. So DB and I, really branched out with writing, with a few other people, and that became a real joy too. And cool. A little different color, for the whole thing.
Well, I look forward to digging into a few songs. So we're going to feature 5 of them. And let's kick it off with the title track, Back Home. So tell us about this one.
Woo! All right. Well, Ruthie Foster, what can we say? She's multiple Grammy-nominated. I was so impressed. I actually was the only one that could go to Austin for that. And I barely could go because my dad went into the hospital the night before I left. And I was like, but I have to go because this had all been planned. And she had like just a day or two in her schedule where she could record. So I got on a plane and I got there, and man, she's impressive. It's like she had, she just absorbed this song like it was her song so fast. I just was like, man, she's like the mama of blues, soul, right, DB? I'm like, and her voice, her phrasing and her voice are just phenomenal. I mean, she blew me away. But I wrote the lyrics to the song and DB wrote the music. And we're about to sing it for a local Chicago radio TV show, and it's like, I love singing it. I'm like, oh, it was hard to give it away, Patrick. It was hard to give it away, but I was like, if I'm going to give it away to anybody, I'm giving it to Ruthie Foster because she's fantastic.
Amazing.
Excellent. All right. Well, we're going to play that song now. Here it is, Back Home by Wendy and DB.
Papa's in the kitchen cooking up something, ooh, and I can smell it's good. Mama's in the garden pulling up carrots to share with the neighborhood. Laughing with my friends, playing silly games. When I hear that sound, it's Mama calling out my name, calling me back home, calling me back home, calling me back home. It's supper time. There's a comfort in knowing, sure I'm young, but I'm still growing. Neighbors Neighbors keep watch, kids on the street. The mailman's walking her usual beat. She looks up, singing a song. We all look up, we're singing along, calling us back home, calling us back home, calling us back home. Community, yeah, it's neighborly, yeah. Woo. Folks before us laid a path to freedom. No one's better than another. It doesn't matter pronoun or color. There's always gonna be misunderstanding till everyone is free. And music's calling out to me. Back home, calling us back home. Back home, calling us back home. Calling us back home, calling us back home. It's freedom time. This town has a beat. Take a walk on Bill Street. Everywhere, blues fills the air, working towards freedom. Our rights can never be wrong. That's what it takes to help us all be strong. Calling us back home, calling us back home, yeah. Back home, calling us back home, yeah. Back home, calling us back home, yeah. Back home, calling us back home. Back home, calling us back home, yeah. Back home, calling us back home, yeah. Back home, calling us back home, yeah. Back home, calling us back home. It's freedom time, yes.
And that was Back Home, and that featured Ruthie Foster and Ann Harris. All right, next song we're going to talk about is something I hear quite a lot at the dinner table. Put down your phone. Tell us about this one.
Well, yeah, when
Or put down the phone. Sorry.
The phone. Well, you're not going to believe this because I know it resonates with kids, but I wrote it for my husband. And my husband is not DB, to dispel all rumors. I wrote it because I was kind of just got irritated with the phone on, always. Because right now there's so much that pulls us in, right, Patrick? It's like, there's Wordle, there's the news, there's the fake
Right.
news, there's, there's all the stuff. And it's nonstop. So when we go in and do assemblies, it needed to be said. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, it couldn't be more direct than this message. And yeah, it's gotten to the point where we just have a rule at the dinner table: just don't even have them, don't look at them, because it's something in this day and age to have the entire world at your fingertips. And kind of growing up as we all have, and remembering when that wasn't the case, it's just crazy that that my kids in particular haven't really known anything different. So every time I tell them stories about the way it used to be, they're like, yeah, so it's like, I think we just had more fun back then.
Well, it's hard to unplug, it's hard to figure out ways to unplug, really.
Exactly.
So it was just kind of a reminder that we all need to think about, in a fun way. And DB, we started with that particular song. DB, why don't you talk about what happened that day? Do you remember when you came over to write it?
Yeah, there was a lot of things happened that day. I I just remember there was a lot going on in the house. There was a lot going on in the house that day.
And there were a lot of people on their phones. What do you
Yeah, a lot of phone ringing and like, can we stop this now? We're working on this. Can we stop this now so we can get back to this? It was really, really amazing. It was just a lot. It was so ironic. It was so ironic that we're actually working on this song and all these things are going on around us dealing with phones. And it's like, this is almost, magical. It's like, okay, we're right in the universe where we need to be, doing exactly what we need to do at this moment.
The mood has been set.
Yes.
So it's really cool working with Dean. He gave us the idea to work with Sade Thomas, because he said, oh, you're going down to Memphis. Oh, you have to work with Sade Thomas, because he knew about her. I'm like, Dean knows, he just knows. He listens to every bit of music out there. And so when I listen to her music, it's drum and fife, right? But so it starts with this percussive thing. And I was like, DB, we got to get something that they can lock into. So right. DB started, this is what I was trying to get him to tell you about a little bit, is he started plucking the guitar. Yeah. And it was a pluck that would go with the African drum, which was really perfect, So, and then my words just fell right in. I mean, it was just perfect. That's how it is. It's a little bit serendipitous. It just falls together that way. But we knew, it's like painting a picture. I kind of knew what I wanted, what I had in mind, and he knew what their African drums sounded like. So he put something complementary with his guitar playing to go along with that. And it worked well.
Nice. Yeah. Right. Let's check this one out. Put Down the Phone by Wendy and DB, featuring Rising Stars Fife and Drum.
Or should we say, put down the phone?
Right. If you're listening now and you're on the computer, put down your phone and listen to it. Here goes.
Light goes on, you hear a ding, vibration buzz, phone goes ring, a pop-up pick pulls you in. When you look, so it begins. Get out the zone, just break that spell. Put down the phone. We're in a moment, I'm all alone. Connection lost, your face like a stone. Please do some explaining. That phone is so draining. Get out the zone. You're like a zombie. Put down the phone. Time's flying fast. You're still on the phone. Aren't your eyes tired? I can hear you moan. Moments are fleeting and precious few. There's sports, music, friends, and fun things to do. Get out the zone. You're crossing the street. Look out! Put down the phone. Have you lost all feelings? You're on the same tone. Check in with yourself. Might want to call home. YouTube, TikTok, snaps our way to connect. Now we're so disconnected, it's time to reflect. Get out the zone, there's more to life. Put down the phone. When walking, driving, eating, arriving. Take a hike and see all the beauty. Too much screen time will make you moody. Makes me wanna scream. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put down that phone.
And that was Put Down the Phone. The next song we're going to talk about, you've mentioned it a little bit, Come to Your Senses. So tell us a little bit more about this one.
Well, one thing we don't talk about much, but it is so true, is that we've forgotten sometimes about common sense and how important common sense is. And how many of us remember our parents saying that, use your common sense, and we go, well, what's common sense? Well, of course, we know we have the 5 senses, but along the way, while writing this song, we discovered a 6th sense. And the 6th sense is your common sense. So, of course, Wendy is so skilled, with her lyrics that she came up with something that really, really fits this. And Doug McLeod worked on this as well. And, we got someone here that just really fits well. It really grooves well. It was a lot of fun to record and play. This one really makes a lot of sense. So really look at it. Anything you want to add to that, Wendy?
Just that I'm very much inspired by NPR and public radio. And I was inspired by, in all fairness, I heard something about how we are as human beings losing our senses. And I like to write about feelings for kids, but senses are just as important. So that became my driving force for the lyrics here. And working with Doug was like spreading peanut butter, or even better. How about smooth butter, like on a piece of bread?
Yeah,
He is so easy to write with. He's easy peasy. It was a joy. It was joy. Anyway, hopefully the song feels like it flows to everybody that's listening to it, because it did, making it. And we're singing it live now. We love singing it. It's just the 2 of us singing it now.
Yeah.
Because we can't take Doug with us, but we would if we could.
Yeah, no, this is a great song with a great message. I've had this conversation with my 3 older kids many times, trying to explain the difference between book smarts and common sense, and that
Yes.
I would prefer that they have more common sense than book smarts, because that's what will get them through life.
Yep, you got it.
Yep.
All right, let's check this song out. Here it is, Come to Your Senses, featuring Doug McLeod by Wendy and DB.
Come to your senses, you know the fire. Just come to your senses, let's take a deep dive. Every day, fill yourself up. You can't pour nothing from an empty cup. You got to come to your senses, know the fire. Come to your senses, let's take a deep dive.
Get on the senses, see, touch, and hear, taste and smell. You know when danger is near. You gotta come to your senses. You know that fire. Come to your senses, let's take a deep dive.
When we see the world through beautiful eyes, kaleidoscope colors in all shapes and sizes, just come to your senses. You know they're fine. Yeah, just
Come to your senses, let's take a deep dive.
Touch and thing, sharp, soft, or smooth, rough or bumpy, wherever the groove. Come to your senses, know the fire.
Come to your senses, let's take a deep dive. Taste and smell sets a good mood. Eating and cooking some down home food. You gotta come to your senses. You know they're 5. Just come to your senses. Let's take a deep dive.
Oh, when you hear it, that car horn beeping, alarm clocks waking, all who was sleeping, come to your senses. You know that fire.
You gotta come to your senses. Let's take a deep dive.
Now don't forget common sense. That good intuition is your best defense. Come to your senses.
Doesn't that make sense? Sensible knowing, common sense in the mix. So every day, fill yourself up, 'cause you can't pour nothing from an empty cup. You gotta come to your senses. It's how we survive. Just come to your senses. Let's take a deep dive. Come to your senses. It's how we survive. Just come to your senses. That was your deep dive.
And that was Come to Your Senses. All right, next song we're going to talk about is called Moving Mountains. So tell us about this one.
Okay, so on the last album, Into the Little Blue House, which you referenced earlier, we wrote a song. I just suggested that the band, the blues band, give me something to write to. And because I think that it's super important, we're all creative, and it's really important to pull that out in other people. You don't always get an artist including everybody on something. And so I said, hey, with this song, I said, hey, you guys, what do we have here? What can you give me? And then they were like, well, what do you want? Of course, we have to negotiate this a little bit. I wanted something up-tempo. And then I think it was Roosevelt Perlevoy who said, what about like a two-step beat? And I'm like, oh, that's so cool, because people could dance to it. And then this, I don't know, I think that Michael Freeman, that's the producer, he kind of had some input. He wrote the lyrics with me, and he wanted to do something about moving mountains. I don't know if that's where that idea came from, but to me, it meant Martin Luther King, because he all talked about the top of the mountain, and it just all tied together. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then we were able to get in a choir, and they're a choir of young voices. They've all been through, they're a little on the older side, amazing singers. And they came in and sang they were like icing on the cake, You want to say anything else about this one, DB?
No, you pretty much said it all right there.
So DB did not write the music on this one.
No.
So it was the rest of the band, and they wrote the music, and I wrote the lyrics, and Michael joined me on the lyrics, and it was away we go. I love the feel. I mean, you could do a two-step to it. It's a lot of fun.
Easily.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's check this one out. Here it is, Moving Mountains by Wendy and DB.
It's a positive notion, from the lowlands to the ocean, making a commotion, mountain moving motion. There was a man who kept on climbing. He had a dream, a plan of timing. Once you see the mountain top, no, you just can't stop, you just can't stop. Move those mountains, moving mountains. You gotta move those mountains, move those mountains.
Dr. King, he got us talking. By his side, we started walking. Together, hand in hand, some they couldn't stand. And if they couldn't crawl, they'd do anything at all. If they try to stop you, don't let it hold you back. Hit our freedom bells, get on the right track.
Move those mountains, you gotta move those
was a woman. She stood her ground by not standing up. It was profound.
Rosa Parks sat on the bus that day, wouldn't give her seat away. By now moving, she saw the mountain top. Once you see that top, no, you just can't stop, moving mountains, you gotta move those mountains, moving mountains. Any old way, gotta move those mountains, move those mountains, move those mountains, move those mountains right out of her way. Make that good trouble wherever you are. Peaceful protest will raise the bar. The truth will set you free. Be all that you can be. Carry your head held high. You'll see that you can fly. When you move those mountains, you're gonna move those mountains. Moving mountains, move those mountains, yeah. Move those mountains.
And that was Moving Mountains, and that featured Billy Branch. Now we will do one more song, and I love the title of this one, Hemingway the Wonderdog. Tell us about Hemingway.
Oh, Hemingway's special. I've never met a dog who's so much like a human being in my life. This dog has feelings, and the way he moves about the house and how he moves around people is absolutely amazing. And by the way, Hemingway, this is Wendy's dog. It's Wendy's dog. And, Hemingway and I have a really special relationship. I will come and sit over at the house. He will get right up there next to me, put his head right on my leg and just sit there like he's just so comfortable. He's just so relaxed around me. And a lot of dogs are not like that, but they don't see that often. They're not like that, but he is like that. But like I said, he's so much like a human being in so many different ways. And so I said, I have to write a song for Hemingway. So I have to rest. I said, well, Wendy, I'll tell you what, I'll do the music, you do the lyrics on this, and we can come up with something that can just rock the house about a dog, a song about a dog, specific dog.
I'm working on the dance movements for this one now.
Yes.
It's it's a lot of fun. And actually Hemingway is a very special dog. Hemingway is, even he could have been a healing dog, really. He's just very sensitive. So I think that's a good way. And you do come here a lot, DB. He does know you pretty well.
Yeah, he does.
It's not like he doesn't see you. He's like, he starts to recognize people, and gets excited when somebody, how they are. They're just like, they're so unconditional. How can we be without them? So DB had to sing this one because this was inspired by DB's love of my dog. It just made sense.
Yep. Dogs can sense good people. So I'm sure Hemingway sensed that right away.
Oh, yeah. Yes, they can.
All right, well, let's check this one out. Here it is, Hemingway the Wonderdog by Wendy and DB.
Floppy ears, full legs and a tail. Can't sense the smell, hot on the trail. He'll chase anything at all. A cat, a rabbit, frisbee, or ball. Hemingway, the Wonderdog. He'll lick your face, his tail goes around. 2 gears perk up when he hears a sound. If you're sad, sit on your lap. He sleeps all day, still takes a nap. Hemingway, the Wonderdog. Look out now. Hey, choo, choo, choo. My shoo, shoo, shoo. Eat anything in sight. My dog is sweet, he doesn't bite. He once jumped from a second floor. The neighbors said he went out to explore. They said, Hemingway, a Wonderdog. Oh, he's not a writer or even a fighter, but he'll stay up late if you do it all night. My best friend, you'll always be with a love so unconditionally. Hemingway, the wonder dog. You know he barks up trees to catch a squirrel. For a treat, watch him dance, dance and twirl. Such a wonder, afraid of the thunder. Looks for the bed and tries to go under. Hemingway, the wonder dog. Oh yeah, I said Hemingway, yeah, the wonder dog. Oh yeah, who? Hemingway, ha, the wonder dog.
And that was Hemingway the Wonderdog, and that wraps up our song features. The album is called Back Home. It is going to be out on July 5th. Pre-release is currently available on your website. Assuming this album will be all the places you can stream, purchase, and download music. Let everybody know how they can find and get in touch with you and connect.
Okay, well, we are at www.wendyanddb.com. We are all places where all good music is found. But the website will be the best place to go for the CD if you're looking for a CD. Digital will be everywhere, but I wouldn't look until the 5th probably of July. That's when our release is. And yeah, I hope you check it out. It's traditional blues, a little unplugged. Let's see, we have a very strong presence on Instagram. Our numbers are climbing. Spotify, our numbers are climbing. And we also have a very fun YouTube channel. And
Yeah.
DB, we do have one single that's released that's gotten a lot of hits, and that's Science of Pancakes. It's going to be on the Dean Jones album. So we're kind of doing little sneak peeks of that album too as we go through 2024. Yay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it has been an awesome having you guys back on the show and hearing about the CD and featuring some good songs. And we'll look forward to the 2025 album as well. But
Thanks.
Best of luck with this one, and look forward to catching up with you guys again soon.
Thanks. You too.
You bet.
Patrick. Good seeing you again.
You
Take
too.
care.
Take care now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.